It's all about the love. So I told my heart, yeah, life's a mess. Don't say you told me so. I've learned some things I wish I didn't know. Yeah, it looked so good until it weren't. It hurts so bad, getting so burned. That's why I told my heart, it's all about the love. For goodness sake, yeah, I just about died for a fake. So I told my heart, go ahead and break. It was like a dream, sure was so beautiful and so full of life. Oh, it was wonderful. Then came the day when she took her leave. Man, it broke me up. Well, I told her it's all about the love. For goodness sake, yeah, I just about died all for fate. So I told my heart, go ahead and break. We get more than we can take. That's why I told my heart, told myself, go ahead and cry. Tears fall from us. A wise man once told me, everybody lies. That's why I told myself, go ahead and cry. And I told my heart, go ahead and break. So I told my heart, break. Yeah. Go ahead and break.
So good. Another world radio premiere here at WMNH 95.3 FM on Matt Connarton Unleashed. That is Go Ahead and Break. That is the Murphy Clark Band. Guys, okay, right out of the gate, what's the correct way to say? Do I say Murphy Clark or is it the Murphy Clark Band?
Yes.
Either one is fine. They are interchangeable.
Whatever you want to call it.
Murphy Clark is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jenny and I are joined live in studio by, of course, Brian Murphy and Mike Clark. It's probably not Murphy, right? Because then it would be the Murphy Clark Band.
Yeah, that's
right?
correct.
Brian Murphy and Mike Clark here in studio. And I love that track. And, of course, as you witnessed, I could not help but sing along with it. And that's how you know you've got something,
It's
right?
kind of the point, right?
Yeah,
Thank
when
you
play something for somebody and they can't help but sing along. Like
Yeah.
it's not even like it's not like, oh, I think I'll sing along to this. It's just an involuntary motion, you know. I
by
couldn't help
design.
it. Yeah.
That's what we hope for.
Absolutely. And we'll play some more of your stuff as we go along. But it's great to have you guys here.
Well, thanks for having us, and thank you for doing this.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
No.
local bands need the support.
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely. Well, we love it, and there's so much. Jenny does all the booking, and sometimes people will ask her, where do you find all these great artists? And it's so much talent
There's a
around
plethora
here.
around here.
Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Did you just use the word
Yeah.
plethora?
Yeah, I looked it up this morning.
Oh, good.
Don't ask me to spell it, though.
Plethora is a great word. Yes.
What the hell does it mean?
A lot of plethora. A lot
Thanks,
of,
Matt. Yeah. Sometimes Brian needs help.
Well, we all need help sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
that's for sure.
Yeah. No, I love it. You guys have a great sound. I feel like kind of the secret weapon is the vocals and the harmonies and everything. How long has this project existed? Have you guys been at this a while, or is this new? Or
We've been collaborating for about 30 years. I think we started working.
Oh, that's been a while.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
We started.
You weren't even born, Matt, I don't think.
Oh my goodness, I probably was, but
Yeah, but
most likely.
We started, way back in the day in the mid '90s.
Oh, okay.
I was recording with Aquatanang was the name of the band. We were with Sony in Manhattan.
Okay.
Back in the big record days.
Oh, no kidding.
And we worked there, and then I wanted to find somebody local, so I did a session with Mike, and I really liked the way he mixed.
Okay.
And so we started working back then. He started running sound for us with Aquatanang, and then started doing records together. At that point, we've been doing them ever since.
Okay.
That was
Wow.
an abridged version.
Yeah, I sped it up a little.
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So, but yeah, that's how it's gone.
And it morphed from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, people change, members changed, and
Sure.
the sound of the band changed. We're all electric now.
Yeah.
And at Aquatanang was all acoustic.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Folk band.
Dylan did it. We figured we could do it.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
that actually, because before, after Aquatanang, with Aquatanang, Mike started to do percussion for us and
Okay.
work his way in. And then after that, we decided to start a different project of the first iteration of Murphy Clark, which was Americana, upright bass. I played the mandola.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
And we did that, I think, like 12 years.
Yeah, until COVID hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
Then
wiped that whole
changed
thing
everything.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, our guitar player had like 14 kids.
Yeah.
Then so
Yeah.
Wow.
so then Mike's always wanted to go electric anyway. The acoustic thing was my thing. So
Yeah.
during the pandemic when we had the shutdown, it was just he and I.
Okay.
And we sort of broke the rules, and I kept going into the studio, and we just started doing studio stuff.
And I kept handing him an electric. See, I'm a rocker from way back when. So,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with acoustic stuff. But,
Right.
So he kept saying, so I took a couple of years and, got comfortable with the electric guitar. And now we have a new format with, but some of the female vocals, Marion and Cindy, have been with us, of course, since the Aquatanang
It's a
days.
big part
Oh,
of the
wow.
sound, too.
Okay.
And so four of us
Yeah.
have been together since all that time.
Okay.
And now we have Gary Young, who's a world-class lead guitar player. He does a wonderful job, is on the guitar now. And we
Okay.
have Jeff Harrington on drums,
Who owns indie music.
Yeah, he owns indie music
so
in
we'll-
Amherst.
We'll
Oh,
plug
okay.
that a little bit.
He's
Yeah,
the drum
absolutely,
teacher
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, no
yeah.
kidding. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I teach voice there.
Do
I'm a
ya?
voice teacher there, yeah.
Excellent.
So, yeah, we love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
that's,
music all the time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
yeah, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
I mean, and as a songwriter, too, and, doing music to accompany other singers with every kind of song you can think of, it really helps you see chord progressions, melodies, all kinds of things like that.
Yeah.
So it gives you a real heightened understanding of songs and music and all that. You just never know what you're going to get. Everything from Taylor Swift to like Granddaddy,
Sure,
or whatever, So,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great.
So you guys have worked together pretty consistently then over the decades.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. You don't see that a lot. I mean, we'll have bands on the show that people who have worked together for a long time, but they've worked together, but then not worked together for a long time, and then
Yeah.
kind of reunited.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
sounds like you guys have been pretty consistent.
Yeah, we have
Long
over,
time. Yeah.
over 150 published songs actually.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Wow!
so- yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like two of them. I'm kidding.
Now, what's the live situation like? Do you guys play out a lot, or what's?
We're getting there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're kind of studio rats, but
Yeah.
we played a few shows at the beginning of the year, and we're getting our show together, and we have some booked towards the end of the season, so
Yeah.
end of the summer.
We have one in Mount Vernon on the 23rd
Okay.
in the town square in Mount Vernon.
Oh, excellent.
July 23rd.
Okay.
And that's at 6. And then we have two shows in August, one at the Prayers of Nature, the listening room there.
Oh
in Wilton.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kate
Kate,
Shemke.
yeah.
She's
You had her
great,
on here.
too.
Oh yeah.
I watched
yeah.
that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been on 2 or 3 times over the
She's
years.
a big
but yeah.
supporter of local music.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you, dedicated and devoted to musicians, and
Yeah.
we honor that. That's a great thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, and then that's the August 8th we're there, and I think it's
Andres Institute, right?
That's
Yeah.
the 24th.
Okay.
That's it in Brookline.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a really nice room too.
Yeah.
There too. Both.
It used to be an old club called the Big Bear, like
Oh, really?
70s. I used to play there, and there in the 70s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they reopened at the Art Institute part, and it's an amazing room.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's
sounds
awesome.
great.
What's
Yeah.
it called?
The Andres Institute. It used to
Okay.
be the Big Bear Lounge,
Okay.
like
Huh.
long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is so from the perspective of you guys? What has changed about? And this is something that comes up on the show a lot. What has changed over the years as far as making music and and promoting music and because
Don't get me going on that.
because-
My studio's been open for 40 years.
okay, so I'm really curious to get your perspective.
Yeah.
Because everything's obviously the internet changed everything.
Yeah, I mean, when we started making records, we were using tape.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Our editing capabilities was the razor blade and some splicing tape.
yeah,
So it's changed so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's easy to make records now.
yeah.
I mean, Billie Eilish won 5 Grammys off something she made in her bedroom.
Yep,
You
yep,
know, so it's just everything's changed in
Yeah.
the music business.
yeah.
Some good things, some bad things.
Yeah.
Right,
know?
right, yeah. I think overall it's for the better, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You
I love digital.
yeah.
You couldn't
yeah.
pay me to go back to tape.
Right.
I used to teach audio engineering at a tech school, and all the kids would be like, I'm going to open a studio and do analog tape. And I was like, dudes, you've never touched a piece of tape. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't
believe
want to
me.
go back there.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
certainly don't want to go back to ADATs.
No,
Yeah,
that's for
yeah.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I actually remember a friend of mine had a reel-to-reel tape, and I remember, trying to. Of course, I screwed it all up, but I remember trying to like splice and
Yeah.
it was fun. But,
Yeah. I kind of appreciate those years though, because
Sure.
I learned my skill from sort of the prehistoric way of recording to what it is now. And
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really enhanced your mixing ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because in those days, when you go into the studio, you had to rebuild the mix.
Yeah, you didn't have total recall.
So now everything pops up where you left it, which I love. Right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But he used to have to rebuild the mix from scratch every
All day
time.
long.
So that's really good for
Bring
your
up
chops,
the kick drum, bring up the bass.
Yep.
So you're doing that all day long. The modern engineers don't have to do that.
Right.
Boom, it's back.
Right.
So-
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And the audience has changed too. You know what I mean? People have a lot more. Like the '90s were kind of a golden age, right? People
favorite
bought
decade for music.
CDs. They bought CDs at your show or whatever
Yeah.
like that. They listened to the CDs, all the tracks.
Yeah.
Now it's different. People have a lot more entertainment options. So music isn't king like it used to be. You know what I mean? But I love the new format because we get paid. You can get played all over the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get royalty checks from ASCAP and Albania and things like that. Get played all over the world.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah,
Oh,
you,
yeah.
You don't have to get into the record bin in the music store anymore.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And if you didn't sell somebody your record, they didn't have it. Now, which I love. You get played on YouTube, you get played on Spotify, which all our music
We get played here.
Yeah. Well, also, from the perspective, we were talking about this earlier, because we had on our first guests were from Ireland, Moonlight Eclipse, and, obviously that wouldn't have happened pre-internet,
Right.
Unless they were already famous, right? But doing this show, too, we're in Manchester, New Hampshire at this beautiful radio station, WMNH.
It is beautiful, too.
But we have listeners all over the world, and, we have people listening from Ireland in the chat room, and
Amazing.
it's the ability to connect with people globally is just fantastic. And music is, the international language anyway.
Absolutely.
So, it's wonderful as far as doing something like this. And what are, because Mike, you alluded to some things for the better, right? Overall, but
Absolutely.
But what have we? Is there something we've lost along the way with all of this, in your
I
opinion?
think we've lost a lot of the soul in our music, because, and I'm not, we use computers and samples.
Sure,
and,
sure.
We integrate them with real playing.
Yeah.
But a lot of it seems like soulless to me.
Yeah.
Like it's too mechanical sometimes.
Okay.
I don't know if,
Because most of the, a lot of it is pre-existing tracks.
Yeah,
People
it's
are
loop-based.
dragging and dropping.
Yeah.
And the level of musicianship is different, right? If you're dragging in all your tracks and dropping them and then singing something over it, it's not the same thing as people sitting over a piano or over a guitar bent over there for years learning how to play.
Right.
Right.
And all that music is going through them, through their heart, their soul, their mind. If you drag and drop stuff, you drag it and then sing over it. It's not going through you, and it's not a development process.
And of course, AI is going to push that narrative even more.
Oh, yeah. It already is.
Absolutely.
Suno.com. Oh, we've used that on the show.
It's incredible.
It is
And
incredible,
the recordings sound amazing.
I know.
They're formulaic because it's machine learning, but if you ask it to do a country song, it sounds like modern country.
It does.
It's incredible.
Yeah, we tried it on. We did kind of a live demonstration of it on the show, because we talk about that a lot on the show
Sure.
too, AI and the effect of it on the music industry. And so it was something I'd kind of had in my back pocket for a long time, an idea. Sometime when we have a segment, maybe a guest cancels or something. There's always things going on in the music industry, so there's always things to talk about. So I was like, let's try this. We'll make a song using Suno and just see what happens.
It's kind of fun.
Did
you make your own lyrics for it?
Oh, what we did was, we just put in a bunch of, and see what it spits out.
Right.
And Jenny and I both, we just sat here kind of gobsmacked, like, wow, this is even better than we would have expected.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I'm in a John Henry style battle with AI. I call what I use RI, real intelligence.
We use a lot of AI in my studio, though.
Yeah.
It's incredible tools to check tonal balance on, or remove noise or anything like that. It's great tools for it.
Yeah. And I assume so. Everything you guys have done is recorded there, I assume, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Clark Creative,
at
yeah.
my studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it sounds fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
Where is your studio?
It's in Amherst.
In Amherst. Okay.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Clark Creative.
Clark Creative. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been there. I'm celebrating my 40th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Could arguably be the longest running commercial studio in New England. I don't know. It's a long time.
You know what's interesting about that is people. One of the things I find that's interesting about getting older is just seeing like what technologies change, what technologies go away, what technologies stick around, but also sometimes what people thought was going to change but doesn't change. And one of the things that has not changed as much is recording, in terms of there's still a lot of really good recording studios around.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're obviously still thriving. You're celebrating 40 years at Clark Creative.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because, that's one of the things people predicted with the advent of home recording and then all the technology that we have now.
See, a lot of bands integrate that with me, though. Like the band you're having on next week, they'll come in and do their drum tracks with me.
Okay.
Or their rhythm section. They'll take it home, bring the files home, and do all the close miking stuff, like the vocals, guitars, because a lot of people use modeling now for guitars.
Yeah.
And then they bring it back to me for mixing. So, you can run away from it, but you have to learn how to integrate that into your business.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your experience over the past 40, well, in more recent years with all this technology, are you still as busy as ever?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
And I do some commercial stuff, too. Like I do all the podcasts for Business New Hampshire magazine.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And I work for this big company called the Pilot Workshops. It's a pay site for pilots. They teach them how to not crash their planes.
Oh, no kidding.
So, I do some of that stuff, too, which I enjoy, But, yeah, super busy.
Yeah,
You know?
Well, and I think like the home recording is a bit of a trap for musicians too, because you get bogged down in the engineering, right?
Yeah.
So and it takes away from the creative process. You're not focusing on your song and your performance.
How do I set this compressor?
Compressors, reverbs, EQs. So I recommend to songwriters to get your ideas down. Right.
Yeah.
And get a sketch of it and then take it to the studio and do it in the studio.
Right.
You know what I mean? And use the tools that you have with the home recording, but don't get bogged down in, like so many people just get hung up on the technicalities. And, you need an engineer to engineer that,
Yeah. Yeah. Also, a lot of times too, an engineer might become a producer, a de facto producer, right?
You kind of have to wear both those hats at the level
Mike
we
does
work
both,
at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very few bands can afford a producer or even trust a producer with their music. You have to trust the guy that's making the decisions on your tracks.
Yeah.
Which is, a lot of times bands don't want to relinquish that
right,
control.
Right. Of course,
and I get that. But, once you get a rapport with the artist, they trust you to kind of put your 2 cents in on the arrangements or whatnot.
Oh, of course, yeah. Who is it that we have on next week who's recording with you now?
What do they call Parental Eye or something? It's Jake Young.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I always can't remember the name of their band. I can't pronounce the first.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I think even when he was here, he even said,
Etch and the
because he
Youngs
was here
were
with
here.
Etch and the Youngs, and he even said, no one can pronounce the name of this other project.
Yeah, I can't. And I've
Don't
recorded
do
with
it.
something
We
like
did
that.
Aqua Tenang. Don't do it, guys.
Murphy Clock is pretty.
I'm curious about Aqua Tenang. So you were signed to a major, or
we were at Sony in Manhattan.
At
We
Sony.
never actually got signed. We were brought in there as like a spec project.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And we worked. It was great. I mean, we were down in Sony in the 90s. It was amazing, the music going on. One of the times we were there, we were doing a session, and the engineer came in and said, we all have to get out of here because Michael's here. And I said, Michael who?
It wasn't me.
And they
Although
go,
it's a good reason to leave.
and they said, Michael Jackson. And so Michael Jackson came in with like his 20 people strong coterie of
really?
Yeah. And they just, he wanted everyone out. So we all
wow.
got the boot. So
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael.
That's
But
funny.
I'm alive and you're not.
That's that's true.
But it was amazing. It was amazing. And, but Mike's a better engineer than anybody down at Sony, though. That's for sure.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
Do
all
you want
works
to borrow
out.
money or something, Brian?
Yes, I do.
I don't have any.
I guess that was pretty
I work in the
transparent.
music business.
Well, he won't be borrowing any money from Michael Jackson's estate, apparently. So,
Go with this, Michael.
I mean, Ozzy was down there. I peed next to Jay-Z.
Next to Jay-Z,
yeah,
really? Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's
Good thing it wasn't R. Kelly. It might be a different
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah, Jay-Z didn't pay any
no
attention
kidding.
to me.
Well, actually, with some of the allegations against Jay-Z now, that might,
Crazy, huh?
Yeah. That could have been risky.
Yeah.
You know?
He had no interest in me, apparently.
Too funny.
I hope none of that's true, because 99 Problems is like my favorite hip-hop song of all time.
Yeah.
So I hope none of that's true.
He's still considered the best hip hop artist.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
I love Jay-Z,
Yeah.
so I hope none of that stuff's true. Oh, boy. We should play another track. What do you guys? I'll let you pick. I mean, what would you guys like to feature next of the songs that you
She's
said?
the one.
Sure.
It's kind of interesting. There's some horns in it.
Oh, she's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, who's playing the horns on this? You guys do
me.
that?
We did it on keyboard.
Yeah, I used this program called Arcade. It's really cool. It's a California company. And what they do is they give you phrases of an instrument, so you kind of play it yourself.
Yeah.
So you pick what you want to use out of the phrase.
Okay.
And you develop it that way. It's not a loop. So there's still some human interaction with the program.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And these are, what do you call them, Brian? Township
horns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they're
'cause
kind of reggae-ish sounding horns.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
they're slightly detuned. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's give this a spin. This is She's the One, and this is the Murphy Clark Band.
Certain of created, she's the one. Certain kind of flower that God himself has shielded with his hand. Out of the ashes of a fire comes a stronger one to stand. Is the goodness of the one who loves the way. Goodness is the beauty, one that lights the way. Great style, easy,
Love that. That's a nice sound.
Yeah, Bri wrote that for Sydney Sweeney.
I really like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know who Sydney Sweeney is.
I was gonna say, who's Sydney Sweeney?
What? Just don't get out much, do you?
I don't.
I honestly have no idea what he's talking about.
I feel like I should know.
Look her
this
up.
Reference. I was gonna say, I feel like I should know the reference. Murphy Clark Band here in studio with us. Brian Murphy and Mike Clark. You know what I like about that in the mix? I like the way the horns are present, but they're not like, sometimes when you hear horns, they're loud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like where the horns sit in the mix.
Well, we're definitely a vocal band, so everything kind of like goes under the vocals, you know?
Yeah.
But it's a hook. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a hook onto itself. So.
Yeah, no, I like it. It adds a lot of texture. And the vocals, too, aren't super loud either. It's interesting, but I really like the mix.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that.
I think that's one of his strong suits, Mike, is his mixing ability.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think that's really like
Definitely, yeah.
that's what attracted to me in the beginning. You know?
Other than like dashing good look.
Yeah, and the hair. I
Yeah,
think.
the hair. Yeah.
And you said you're a vocal teacher, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So do you ever get students that just want to sing karaoke without killing any animals?
Yeah, I do get I get the karaoke contingent, no doubt. But yeah, and that's the beauty of it. I have singers across the spectrum. You know, I really love doing that. Really love doing that.
Do you ever, this might be a strange question, but do you ever have to kind of turn away anybody? Like, have you ever had a student who you just kind of feel like, they're not going to get this?
Well, typically not, because you know everyone can get better as long as they're not, tone deaf, right? There's a difference between being tone deaf and being pitch deficient.
Oh.
Pitch deficiency can be, you can train somebody to get their pitches correct.
Yeah.
If somebody's actually tone deaf, they don't really like music anyway, right? So I don't get those kind of people because they don't enjoy music.
Oh.
And I do get
Interesting.
people from time
I
to
did not
time.
know that.
Yeah, there's a difference. And I do get people from time to time that say, after we do a couple of lessons, they say, what do you think? And I'll tell them, I'll say, if they're pitch deficient, I'll say, you will be able to sing, but it's going to be a lot of work. If you want to do the work, we can get it done. And they're never going to be your great singers, right? But you can be good enough to sing in your church band or sing backups in your band or do the occasional lead vocal in your group. But, great singers, though, usually come to me singing already.
Okay,
You know what I
interesting.
mean?
Yeah. Part of why that's so interesting to me is, so I went through a few different vocal teachers along the way, and you might even know him, Roland Belisle. Is that a familiar
I
name?
recognize the name.
Because he used to have he was the owner of Belisle Music here in Manchester.
Oh, wow.
Music
I
store
remember
that's long
Belisle.
gone. Yeah. And I
Years ago.
went to him and a couple other people over the years, and it's an odd thing with me. I'm actually not a bad harmony singer. I can kind of lock in and find the octave and whatnot, but on my own I get lost.
Do you play in a band?
I've not currently, but I'm a musician. You know, I play bass and a little bit of guitar, and I'm certainly
I
not
figured
tone
that
deaf. But
seeing you do this,
yeah.
there's some sort of
you love-
connection to it.
If you love music, you're not tone deaf.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But pitch deficiency is
There's
a
hope for me
coordination
yet.
thing. Yeah.
No, you're a better singer.
Well,
than
Brian
you
claims
think you are.
anyone can.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you enjoy music, you can do it.
Okay.
And it's just because typically that's a coordination issue,
Okay.
right? It's because what you're hearing in your head is not coordinating up with your voice.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So that can be trained in.
Okay.
You know
That's
what I
really
mean?
cool.
Yeah. And that's the fundamental difference there.
Okay.
There's hope for me yet.
Yeah.
Says I killed cats.
And he's a better singer than she thinks she is. But so tone deafness though. So that's real. That's a real thing. Because that's the other thing I was curious about.
And you meet people like that from time to time. Like I used to fish with a guy. He didn't care what radio station was on. You'd get in his truck and he'd go, "What the hell are you listening to?" He said, "It's all the same to me. It's just noise."
That's
That's
interesting.
surprising to me. I would have never thought that. I mean, I thought that I could be tone deaf because you know what I mean? But I never thought that people who are tone deaf are generally not happy about music.
Yeah.
They just don't like it because they don't hear the melodic difference, so it's just irritating. You know what I
That's
mean? If you
interesting.
don't hear melody, it's just noise.
Yeah.
You know?
Because I've heard people say, "Yeah, I don't really like music," but rarely have I heard anyone say that. And then when someone does say that, it's like, I've always assumed there's something neurologically wrong with them or something. Because who doesn't like music? It seems so strange.
Yeah.
You're kind of right, because if somebody's tone deaf, that is neurological.
Right.
Yeah.
It would probably annoy them rather than entertain them.
That's interesting.
That's crazy. I never would have thought that.
Do we have any idea? Like, has anyone studied like an estimate of how many people like that are in the world? Or because I would assume that's extremely rare, right? It's got to be.
I've never done any research on that. I just know that.
I'm just curious now that I'm thinking about it.
But most of the time, those people don't come for voice lessons because they don't care about it.
Right, they wouldn't be
but
into it anyway.
Most
yeah.
of the people that are pitch deficient, and a lot of people say the same thing as you've said, is I can sing harmony, I can sing with others, they can sing in a choir, but when they're by themselves, they can't hit the pitches. And so that can be trained in.
Okay.
Through exercises and, like dedication. You have to work at it.
Bryce still won't give me a microphone.
No.
You don't sing, Mike?
No.
No? Okay.
Only in the shower.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That's
I'm trying
where
to get
I
an
go.
audience to come in with me, but how's that
Shower
working?
or cooking for me. But you are correct. It is a very low number. Back in 2017, they did a study estimating that between 1.5% to up to 4% of people have tone deafness, also known as amusia.
Here you go, Bryce.
Sounds like
Isn't
it should be funny. I got amusia.
Interesting.
I took penicillin, mine cleared up.
Okay, shut his microphone off. I'll take it from here.
It can be congenital, in which case it can be more severe,
Okay.
which is rarer than people in general who are tone deaf, which is that 1 to 4%. So it is a very low percentage of the population.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you
So
can
it's
find
not
out
the people we
anything
thought
now.
it was.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not the people I would have thought it was. I would have thought that it's like I can't hit that note, so I'm tone deaf because I can't hit
Right.
it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought that it meant.
And a
Yeah.
lot of times, too, like you can go in somebody's vocal range and you can find out right that place in their voice.
Sweet
It's
spot.
usually the upper bridge of someone's voice where the coordination starts to go and everything starts to pull flat.
Okay.
And so on my first meeting with somebody, I'll get to a certain point where that first passage is, right?
Yeah.
And if I hear it going flat a little bit, I'll know exactly what to do.
Okay.
You know what I
That's
mean? You know
awesome.
exactly the range to work in, and you know where the coordination issue is.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember Roland doing that with me and,
Yeah.
and trying to figure out where my range was. And,
Right,
Well, it's
right.
no wonder you guys have beautiful harmonies.
Oh,
Music,
thanks. Yeah.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah, Marion and Cindy have always been like that. They sing together just beautifully.
Gorgeous.
They have a real super chemistry.
Sounds
Two.
like they're related. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? How
yeah.
related people
Yeah.
can really get that crazy harmony.
Yeah, everyone
they
feels-
sound that.
Well, you sing together
Crisp.
for
Yeah.
35 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well be.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can remember one time I was at a bluegrass festival in Texas, in the 80s, and Marion and Cindy were there with me, and they weren't really singing yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was with my banjo player, and we were out going and playing with everybody, and I come back, and there's this beautiful singing going on in the tent. I'm like, what the hell is going on in there? I open it up, and it's Cindy and Marion, and Marion's on guitar, and they're harmonizing like crazy. I said, I didn't know you guys could harmonize like that. And they go, oh, yeah. So that's where it began, like I kind of realized, like, what the hell,
Yeah.
I love happy accidents.
Yeah. And they just, right from the beginning, had a kind of a chemistry.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yep.
Is now some of the early music that you guys did, is that all available? Because you said you've got 150 published songs.
All of it.
Yeah.
The Aquatanang stuff is still, it still gets spun all the time. There's stuff about that, like She Reigns, particularly, and Fragile as a Nail, the Aquatanang ones, those two in particular, were the band at the height of their powers.
Okay.
And it just sounds like the 90s. I mean,
really?
like I put that on and I just think, oh, yeah, here we are back there again.
No kidding.
So it's interesting.
I'll have to check some of that out later. I'm curious. Yeah. I'll do a deep dive. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been working together, like I said, ever since then. So it's a real. I think it's historic. I think it's New Hampshire musical history, our collaboration.
Yeah.
Over the years, even though not a lot of people know about it. I think.
Well, it must be kind of intuitive, right? Especially at this point.
Yeah.
Like it probably is effortless. I would
the
imagine.
The workflow is very nice.
Yeah.
Fun. Like now, I'll write a couple of songs, or when we're ready for a new song, he'll just say, "What have you got?"
Yeah.
And I'll get out my guitar and I'll play through a few things, and he'll say that one.
Yeah.
And then we start to arrange it. Mike's very good with the arrangement, and it's really nice for a songwriter and a singer to have like what I call ears on the outside. Somebody that listens to your music and says, "I like this, I don't like that."
You have to trust him with it, though.
And he can be honest with me and say, you're pushing too hard here, or you're biting down on that, or things like that would normally hurt your feelings, and I'll just,
right.
Pull me off,
but it's really helpful,
it.
For somebody, and so he'll pick generally, I'll run through a couple, like Go Ahead and Break. I wrote this past Valentine's Day because I was down with influenza A, I believe. And I was out for, and the week I was out, I wrote 3 songs that week, which was great. And Go Ahead and Break was the last one of the 3.
Oh, okay.
And so he says, "What have you got?" So I started playing that one. He goes, "That's the one. Let's do that one." So then the band gets together. We start to arrange it. Jeff Harrington, the drummer, had some nice arrangement ideas for Go Ahead and Break. And so, we sort of do that as a band.
Yeah.
And arrange it. And for a songwriter, too, to have a team that you can work with, like, because Cindy and Marion are great. Like, we like this, we don't like that, for everybody to chip in, for every talented person that helps you with your composition, the composition gets ratcheted up.
Yeah.
So it's really like, it's a dream come true to have a team to work with you on the songs, you know what I mean?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And contribute their considerable talent,
Yeah, absolutely. You guys want to play another one? We should play another one.
Sure.
These are so good. What do you guys want to let
Hello
you pick?
Highway?
Yeah, Hello Highway.
Hello Highway.
Yeah, this is a song. What was that?
About your travels.
Yeah. We were doing some. I wrote that stuck in traffic in
New Jersey. We on the Jersey.
No, Worcester. I was going through Worcester because my father lived in North Carolina, and going down the stretch, he was dying of Parkinson's.
Oh.
We would do caregiving, and everybody in the family would get down there for a couple weeks. So we were doing a lot of highway time. And so at one particular time, my sister called me and said, "We got to get down there." So as I was going down, driving through Worcester, I was like, "Hello, highway."
Yeah.
I like that. So the next 24 hours of driving, I wrote the rest of the song in my mind. And then when I got back to town, I wrote it down, but that's how that one came about.
Okay. All right. Yeah, let's give this a spin. This is Hello Highway, and this is the Murphy Clark Band.
Say, take me back to a better day. Didn't take so long, didn't take so long, didn't take so long to get up off the floor. Place for lady so, yeah, you can so, no need to remind.
Hello Highway.
Just kind of got lost in that one, listening to that. That's really good, guys.
Yeah, it kind of
I wanna
trans
go
out on
paint.
that.
Yeah.
You want to go paint?
I want to go paint.
She likes to listen to music while she paints.
Oh,
And,
cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
nice.
gonna put that on
Mixed
the playlist.
art forms.
Oh, I'd love to. Love everybody. Put us on your playlist,
Please.
Yeah, and I should say too, we're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube. Well, I love my YouTube channel, small though it may be.
Yeah.
But we're on all the major platforms. The music is.
There's
so-
some crazy videos on YouTube too.
Are there? Yeah.
Yeah, I get all the video duties.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge fan, but it's kind of fun sometimes.
Video's a lot of work.
It is,
you know?
I'm clunky on it because I'm an audio guy. You know?
Sure.
But it's
We have
it's
fun
fun
with
to
it,
do
though.
videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a powerful song, though.
thanks.
That's so
Yeah.
good. That is so good. If you are just joining us, we've got Brian Murphy and Mike Clark from the Murphy Clark Band here with us in studio, and we've been talking a lot and playing some tunes, and just really great. Is that one of the more recent ones, or is that one been out for a while?
8 months, maybe.
6
it's
to 8
been out.
months.
Okay,
something
yeah.
like
We,
that.
we try
Yeah.
to get a song done every 2 months.
Okay,
And we've been relatively successful with that. That includes, the writing, the arranging, and then the production of it. And we try to get 2 months. Is what we give ourselves.
Okay.
So that one's probably about 4 songs back,
Yeah,
I would say. So
something
that's
like that.
probably 8 months or
Yeah.
6 months or something like that.
And so that's kind of the schedule. So is there an album that these are going to coalesce into, or are you just going to keep doing singles?
We don't
or?
do. I don't.
We
don't
feel
do
that's
sing-
a lost platform.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think it's
You know?
very difficult to get people to listen to a CD anyway, because people have so many entertainment options. I feel like, and another thing too is when you release a single, you get a bump on all the platforms. So if you're on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, you get a little, especially if you're a verified artist,
Yeah.
you get a bump. So they promote that single for the first week or so, like that.
Yeah.
So if you release a CD, your CD gets that bump. But if you release a single, you get a bump every time you do the single. So it's just kind of more advantageous.
Yeah.
Another thing I like about it, Matt, is it allows the artist to work in what I call the honeymoon period with the song.
Yep.
Right? So when you have a new song, everybody's excited about it. Everybody's gives it their all. But if you do a CD project and you get hung up, the next thing you know, everything starts to kind of slow down.
Yeah.
You tend to rush through things if we got to finish this because we have 10 other songs we have to complete.
And then
so
you might
let
not
stuff slide, or
And then you can not work on a song for 4 months, and then you kind of come back to it and like, where were we with this one? You know what I mean?
and you don't care about it anymore, really.
Whereas if you do a song and it's that song, and I recommend this to musicians all the time, and they never listen. They always say, no, we're doing a CD, and I say, okay, fine. When it gets bogged down, give me a call.
Don't tell them that, Brian. I lose money when you tell them not to do it.
So do singles. You'll make the same
thanks for
amount
the
of
help.
money. Just think how much money I've paid you, dude. Come on.
We won't get into that.
Come on. Come on.
Don't get me wrong. I would love people to put the needle on the record and listen to the whole record.
Sure,
though.
sure.
I kind of miss that. I'm guilty of it. Like I'll listen to like the new David Gilmour record and listen to 2 tracks, then go, Toad the Wet Sprocket has a new record out, or whoever.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? And so there's so much to choose from.
There is.
So I kind of look at it like instead of putting out a CD, is put out a single and hope to get on some playlists, hope people include it on their favorite playlist or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And that, yeah.
Well, you stay visible too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In a lot, I mean, you can do a show and one person might come up and say, "Do you have a CD for sale?" But most of the time not. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because people don't think of it that way.
They don't put them
know?
in cars anymore. It's a USB.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
I've just kind of moved away from that. And periodically I think, I should put it all together in a CD project. And then I think, why?
Yeah.
So that's my theory on it anyway.
Well, listening habits have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Something's changed
Like I
in
say,
music
Yeah.
business.
what I like about most of it is doing a song, putting your all into it, getting the best mix you can, and then moving on to the next one.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I mean? It keeps you writing, it keeps you working like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different ways now to release music and so many different strategies you can
Sure.
use, and that's all changed too. Yeah, no, it's technology has just changed everything, but it's like you do have to kind of feed the machine, feed that algorithm,
Sure.
to stay relevant and so
and
forth.
really, the CD period was a very short period in musical history, right? I mean,
Nice.
you probably remember singles where you get a 45.
Oh,
or
yeah.
in that, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was one song
No,
at a
Matt's
time.
not that old.
You get a B side or whatever.
I might be.
You look good though, man.
I might. Thank you. I moisturize. I stay hydrated.
Oh, yeah. Fabulous, darling. Fabulous.
Good deal.
But it's some of the artists we have on the show have kind of recommitted to physical media just
Yep.
because
Sure.
sometimes if you're a fan, it's nice to have liner notes and things like that.
I
But
miss that.
Yeah.
Sitting there with the album cover, looking
oh,
at the artwork.
that's
and,
the best. Like
yeah.
the vinyl, the gatefold.
Again, it's mixing art mediums. You know, you have the music and you have the
Yeah.
art that was
Exactly.
like the record cover.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, so that the time goes quickly. We will do this again in the future, though. If,
Oh, I'd love
if
to.
you'll come back,
Love
I'd love to have you guys back.
Oh, we got stories, man.
Yeah, yeah.
We're just
Yeah.
getting going.
Yeah, and especially too as you're releasing new music, because you keep putting out new stuff. So that's an easy excuse to get you back on. But in the meantime, we should close our segment with one more track. What would you guys
Only You?
like to?
Yeah, we could do Only You.
Yeah.
Only You?
Only You, man.
This is the one that came before the Go On and Break. It's
Yeah.
Only You.
Okay. Anything we should know about this?
This one I don't remember.
This
What-
is a track we kind of
writing.
revisited, though,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
from a while ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
We did it back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't remember the specifics of writing this one, though, in particular. It's just,
Okay.
I can
Came to
remember.
him in a dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's poetic. Yeah,
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 it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
true,
that's right.
though,
yeah.
And before we spin this, anything? What should our listeners know about how to find you guys online? What's the best place to go to keep up with everything the Murphy Clark Band is doing?
We have a Facebook. I run it, so if you
Okay.
think I suck at Facebook, you're right. So I do the social media, so you'll know that.
Yeah.
The
but
YouTube
Facebook
channel's
the
fun.
YouTube's channel's
Oh,
great
okay.
though.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's some live videos on there. And,
Cool. Okay.
It's Murphy Clark. Just if you type
Yeah.
in Murphy Clark, it'll come up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we appreciate anybody adding a song to their favorite playlist or whatever.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
appreciate it. And if somebody writes something on YouTube, we see it.
Excellent.
So-
Jen's going to paint to one of the
I-
songs.
Yes,
Either
she
way.
is. Yeah. Yes, she is.
And then if anyone wants to dance naked, that's fine, too.
You can do that,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not here.
Yeah.
Not here we can't.
I'll pass
because
on that part. Yeah.
The cameras are on, and I don't think we're zoned for it.
Yeah, I should have done some sit-ups or something before I was going to appear naked on the show. No, I look
He
pretty
was
good
bare
actually.
chested in the parking lot.
I
let me
did.
just tell you.
If you give me a chance.
Well, like I said, we will have you back, so
All right.
we'll see what
Great.
the future brings.
Thanks for everything, and thank you for your commitment,
Yeah,
Matt,
it's
to
awesome.
everyone. We really appreciate that. Like,
Oh, thank you.
Just like Kate over at the listening room.
Yeah.
The dedication and devotion that people have is so important. You know what I mean? It means a lot to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, we love it. Jenny and I love doing
Yeah, I
this.
appreciate that, Jen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we will we'll close out the segment with Only You, Man. That's the title of this track.
Only you.
Oh, it says Only You.
Yep.
Okay. I wasn't sure because it says Only You, Man on here. But it says Only You, Man mix, so I didn't know if it was the man.
no,
the man
that's
is it
from
the-
my studio. I
the
kind of
main-
name stuff what I want to name it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not the name of the song. It's misspelled. It's just from my file.
I got
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, and if you are listening live on Saturday morning, Aaron Bilodeau is coming up next in the third hour, so stick around for that. He's going to play live. But guys, thank you again, Brian Murphy and Mike Clark from
Thanks for having us.
the Murphy Clark Band, and here it is, Only You.